You are going to love this episode because we're talking about how to brand yourself however the hell you want to. So you don't have to do any particular thing that any particular person's told you to do. You could do what's true to you. Luckily, we're talking with a branding expert. Raquel Borras, the Chief Excitement Officer at True to You Branding, is going to tell us how you can brand yourself, grow your business, get new clients in the door, but still be true to you.
The Massive Agent Podcast, with lead generation tips and strategies to get you more leads and sell more homes.
I love to buy houses. I like to sell houses.
It takes brass balls to sell real estate.
Wait a minute.
The leads are weak. You're weak.
I've had better.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Here's your host, Dustin Brohm.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 132 of the Massive Agent Podcast. I am your host, Dustin Brohm. Welcome. If you're new to the show, I already introduced myself, so I totally screwed up my flow here. So let's just start over. If you are new to the show, welcome. My name is Dustin Brohm, your host. I'm a realtor in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm the co-founder of the Industry Syndicate podcast network for the real estate and mortgage industry. I'm a national speaker on all things real estate marketing, social media, podcasting, and lead generation. I write a bi-weekly column for Housing Wire, and I'm the founder of the Massive Agent Society, our one agent per market lead gen online course / coaching program. And you can see if your market is even available over at massiveagentsociety.com. Don't just assume yours is. There's a lot of markets still available, even big markets. So you might be surprised, but once it's gone, it's gone. So if you want to have a database of Facebook ads that have been proven to work all across the country and in Canada, that you just copy and paste and get leads, well, that's what we show you. And then we teach you how to make adjustments, what the analytics mean, how to make tweaks, how to overcome any changes Facebook makes. So if you want to master lead generation, go right now to massiveagentsociety.com. Check out our annual memberships, which is about half off from the monthly cost, and you can become a member for a whole year. So check that out. All right, guys, today we're talking with Raquel Borras. She is a branding expert. She used to work for a couple different mortgage companies, helping loan officers to level up their branding, so to speak. So she knows exactly what to do, like what specific things you should do. We talked about some of those things today, but she has experience in our industry. She's done so well that she's actually gone out on her own to start a firm called True to You Branding, where she helps people of all industries to get new customers in the door and to do it through branding and not just conversion. So we talk about the difference between branding and conversion. We talk about what you as an individual agent should be doing right now, whether you're brand new and you've never done a damn thing with branding, or you've been putting out content but it doesn't feel consistent. We've got some answers for you and some stuff that you're going to like. For everyone who has shared this podcast recently, I really appreciate it. I've noticed over the last few weeks, I've been tagged in a lot more Instagram stories and Facebook posts where you've been sharing this podcast and that you enjoy this show with your friends and with your network. So I appreciate that, to everyone who's done that and everyone who is about to do that now that I've planted the idea in your head. So it is your idea. It's not mine. I'm just planting the idea, and I guess that is me planting the idea. But thank you. Because that's how we grow the show. That's how we get a bigger audience, and the bigger the audience we get, the bigger guests we can get on the show. The easier it makes that to do. So help us out. Help me help you, Jerry Maguire style. All right, let's get into the interview with Raquel Borras Raquel Borras with True to You Branding. Get ready to take some notes. This is good stuff, guys. What's up, guys? I'm here with Raquel Borras, the Chief Excitement Officer at True to You Branding. We have a treat for you today because Raquel has a lot of energy and a lot of great ideas and strategies, and she is a branding expert. Raquel, welcome to the Massive Agent Podcast. How's it going?
What up, Dustin? How are you?
Fantastic.
Good.
Fantastic. So branding, we can go in a million different directions, but
Yes.
I want to approach this conversation from two different points of view. But first, anyone who's not familiar with you, and I know you did some, you worked on the mortgage side of the industry for a while in the marketing area. But for most real estate agents that may not be familiar with you, who is Raquel Borras? How did you get started? What brought you to this point? Give us 60 seconds or so, and then let's jump into a conversation.
Yeah, well, I tell people all the time, I don't have all day. You don't have all day. I might have all day, but you don't. So I guess the basic 60 seconds is I was doing branding and marketing for a mortgage company. And I naturally just started putting myself out there, and voila, I created a personal brand without even trying. And then I wanted to be able to help people in other industries. So I didn't want to just kind of be, in a box with the mortgage and real estate space. So I decided to start my own business. So now I can help anybody.
Fantastic. And when did you pivot? Was it around first of the year?
It was mid-January. So right before COVID.
Well,
yes. I have always
was that
had
a good
really
decision
good
or a bad
timing.
one? Yeah.
You know what? I have to say, hindsight, it was actually a great decision.
Nice.
Being that everyone's on the internet and everyone's on social media, and that's where I'm at. So it worked out for me.
It's true. Yeah. Every time I say this, I always feel weird because I know some people have had the opposite experience with COVID, and obviously it's not a good thing, but there's silver linings. And my business, all three pillars of my business exploded since February.
Wow.
Just because of what you said, it sped up a lot of trends that were already happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, people were consuming a crap load more social media than they were prior because they're at home, and a lot of more people weren't working. It's one of those things. You put yourself in the right spot with, what you think is going to be more popular in the future, and COVID comes along, speeds things up, and boom, you do well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was the thing, is I did have a little bit of a breakdown right before, though, because I thought, okay, gosh, I'm starting my own business. And I will have to say, in the beginning, it was tough because there was so much uncertainty that nobody was going to spend money on hiring a consultant for personal branding, right? They're worried about paying their mortgage and paying their bills. I know I was. So then I kind of had to pivot with what I was doing on social media. And that also helped. It was to my advantage, actually, as well.
Totally. Yeah. It's amazing how much has happened and how much we've learned and progressed just since February.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. I mean,
yeah.
And we're not even in July yet. I don't want to know what's coming down the pike for July.
Yeah. I want to, I'm taking everything day by day, to be honest. I wake up and I'm like, all right, let's tackle today, and then we'll deal with tomorrow when I wake up tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. So when you were working at a mortgage company,
yes.
What were you doing there? What did your day-to-day look like, and how were you helping, how are you helping the mortgage company to get more business?
Well, I was very blessed in the sense that, I was already working with that company, but in a different capacity. And I was doing business development for multicultural lending. And so I was already on social media. I was already really active on LinkedIn. And so then what happened is when a group of us moved to another company, they came to me and said, Raquel, because of your visibility and you already pretty much kind of have a brand, we want you to be in charge of our brand. So naturally, I was, I guess, the face of the company, if you will, because I was using my social media platforms to promote them. So they pretty much gave me all the freedom in the world to do what I wanted to do. They trusted that I was going to put them on the map, per se. And I did, in the sense that I was doing a lot of videos, I was smart about brand placement. I always had their logo on there, or I had swag on, or, so then people started recognizing the logo because it was brand new. And, the best is when my boss went golfing and a real estate agent went up to him and saw his t-shirt and was like, I know that logo. I know Main Street Home Loans. Like, where have I seen it? And we had just started. So it just goes to show you how powerful social media can be. If you're just blasting your stuff on there, people automatically perceive it as wow, you guys are a big deal. Right. And so people assumed right away that we were much bigger than we actually were, which is fantastic. And, they're doing extremely well, but it also went hand in hand because I was promoting them, but still doing my personal brand. And that's essentially where I got noticed, where people were like, how is it that you're working for a company and you have a personal brand? We want to be able to figure that out. And so that's why people started coming to me and asking me to speak at on panels for social media. It's weird how it all kind of came into fruition. to be honest.
Just by like moving forward every day and creating content, right? Is that?
Yeah, and just being consistent and having fun. I mean, I have a brand now of people. I guess I would think that people would describe my brand as fun, positive, happy, trying to inspire, encourage. And
I think that's a fair assessment, Raquel. I've seen your LinkedIn videos where you're singing Blinding Lights by the weekend. I've seen it.
Yeah, but that's me naturally. And so, it was important to have my personality showcased as well. And people took to it. And then that's when I started realizing like, okay, we're all human. We all connect through emotion, through feelings. And so that's where like that whole personal branding element came in. And that's when I started just really kind of taking notice to other people's brand as well and started studying other people. I mean, it's kind of crazy how I know it's like, I keep saying and I keep saying whatever, but it works, people. Like it's hard to say that there's like an actual formula to it. It's just putting yourself out there, being consistent, understanding who you are. I think that's another key thing, is that not a lot of people know who they are. So that's where they struggle.
Right.
Because a lot of your viewers or your listeners are real estate agents, you said, right? So I think people tend to try to stay one-dimensional because they think if I'm a real estate agent, that's all I have to show. But that's not the truth. Like people want to do business with you and they want to get to know you and like you and trust you. And the only way to do that is by letting people know who you are as a person.
Thank you. Yes. I'm envisioning the Steve Carell thank you gif, because I say this all the time on the show and I still get people that are like, wait, I say, stop posting about real estate. And I mean, literally don't post about real estate at all.
And they're like, what? They don't get it.
Yeah. Because some of them like literally can't wrap their heads around, but I'm a real estate agent. I must talk about listings and open houses and market conditions and all this shit. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. If you want people to actually follow you and remember you and get to know you as a person. And so I say 10% of the time, like post 10% about real estate and listings and all that. Because, you have to be promoting your listing so the sellers are happy. I understand that. But it doesn't need to be the majority of your content. And you don't have to do it in a boring way either. We control how we post certain things and how it's portrayed. So on that line of thinking, and you say, people want to get to know you so they can know, like, and trust you. How can an agent or a loan officer do that through social media?
Well, first of all, they have to decide what platforms they're going to choose to be present on. And once you choose it, you have to be committed to that platform. I committed to LinkedIn. That was my platform, and I'm still really committed to it.
Yep.
As I know, most people are on Facebook. That's where they feel like their clients are. But I am starting to tell people, like, start getting away from Facebook and going on other platforms. Because also what's happening is, I believe, for instance, Facebook starts getting saturated, right? And so if you want to stand out, then you got to go somewhere where maybe not everyone's there. And there are not a lot of real estate agents right now, or even loan officers on LinkedIn, because they feel like their audience is either on Instagram or Facebook. But that's the whole point. Put yourself somewhere that nobody else is on, and then just start. Well, see, this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Okay, because you want to be yourself. I
asked you a very broad question that we could talk for 4 hours.
I know. But like, this is where something that I really learned is that you still have to trust your network and your commitment and what you're doing. So I tell people, yes, you have to be yourself, but you have to do it in a way where, like we're saying, real estate agents don't talk about real estate, but at the same time, you can't come onto like a LinkedIn platform and just have it be all personal. Because then people might be like, who are you? Like, why are you coming on here just kind of sharing your life with us without us even knowing, having gone through the journey to get to know you, if that makes sense. Like, I brought people through a journey to get to where I'm at. So it's the same thing when it comes to social media, because that trust is so important with your audience. It really is. And so I would tell them to start by educating Like people want to know what's going on, but do it in a way where it's not boring. I think everyone kind of does like your mundane video of like, oh, the interest rates or the real estate market. There's
worst.
a way. Yeah, there's a way to educate people within the industry, but do it in a fun way and do it in a way that's just natural, where you just kind of get in front of the camera, and it doesn't have to be perfect. The background doesn't have to be, all like set like you're in a, studio. I mean, we're all at home at this point, so everyone knows that you might be in your living room or in your bathroom. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would just pick that platform, start being consistent with it. So when you do post, try to post at least once a day. I mean, I don't believe in Gary V's like post 100, things a day. Like that's a little excessive, I believe. But
yeah,
if you just start posting one thing a day, then, obviously then the algorithms start picking it up too. And then if you start getting engagement, then more people are going to see your posts. Like it's a process. There's so much that goes into it. Like you said, we could talk all day about it. But that's another thing too, is people understand that it is a process. You have to be patient with it. You're not going to be like Insta famous or LinkedIn famous or Facebook famous overnight or
Yes.
you're not going to be that agent that's suddenly going to blow up within a week because you started posting on your social media. Like,
I think a lot of people thought that TikTok would be that just by going over there and dancing that they'd blow up within a week or
and
two.
then go like viral and suddenly everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
That it doesn't work that way. I mean, I've been on LinkedIn for almost 7 years now.
Yeah.
So
and you're
I'm
at
not
what, like 19, 20,000 followers at this point?
I think I'm at like 19,000, and I don't connect with everyone either.
Strong.
I tell people I could probably have double, to be honest, but I still, once again, try to keep my network of quality. Not saying that if I don't connect with you, you're not quality. It's just, it has to make sense for me.
There has to be some relevancy there too,
because the engagement that I get is really good engagement. Like I'm so
Yeah.
proud of my network, because when people comment, it's really insightful, it's thoughtful. They add value in their comments, and that's another thing too that you can do for a lot of people that don't feel comfortable posting yet. Engage with other people's content. Because people can see what you say. And I've gotten a lot of people reach out to me because they saw me comment something on one of their second degree connections, and we weren't even connected, but they liked what I had to say. Or I'll see other people's comments and I'll be like, ooh, who's that person? I'll look at their profile and I realize like, ooh, I want to be connected to that person. So that's
great point.
That's a biggie too. And I would
especially LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah. LinkedIn, Facebook, even Instagram. I think I'm not like too savvy when it comes to Instagram, but I hear that also the algorithms on Instagram want you to comment as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like
I was thinking
engagement there too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Instagram is all about engagement with stories. I mean, the feed posts are kind of like, they're just there now.
Yeah, but
it's all about stories and engagement within stories for sure.
And so that's the thing too, is, if you want to just start doing stories, and you can have fun with stories. That's what's really cool. I love doing stories because I'm creative. So I love like getting fun gifts and then doing, the filters and I have fun with it. And you can definitely have fun with it too. It doesn't have to be, once again, all real estate, but you could have fun doing real estate stuff on there too, where it's not your typical flyer, like we said the other day.
Yeah, freaking flyers on Instagram geez, it's bad. So it's very important that you know the culture, if you will, or the language, or the the language of the platform you're on. LinkedIn has a certain expectation of a business setting. Right. Like there's some expectation of, we're here to do business, but it doesn't mean it has to be boring or that you put out, press releases all the time. Facebook is just kind of a mix of everything. Instagram stories, super laid back. You're expected for those to be informal, fun, have personality. If you're just talking in some mundane, boring voice about your open house from 11 to 2,
people are
not
going to
go so
skip
well.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you know that LinkedIn's going to have LinkedIn stories? They already have it released in Australia and in other countries, and the States, we're always behind when it comes to stuff like that. So we'll get it eventually, but that goes to show you the fact that LinkedIn having stories now. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see
Yep.
more of that. So, and obviously they beta test and they do their research. And so the fact that they're doing that means that their audience wants a little bit more fun on that platform.
For sure. And it's funny how on LinkedIn, I see, well, not just on LinkedIn, but conversations elsewhere about LinkedIn stories. A lot of these purists, these LinkedIn purists, they're like, well, we can't do stories. You know, this is a professional platform. Bullshit. Everyone's going to love it. Everyone's going to use it, whether they use it day 1 or month 6, they're all going to use it.
Oh yeah. Like if I had it right now, I would be doing a story of the two of us on doing this podcast. I would absolutely be like, hey, say hi. And then I would have posted it on my LinkedIn because this is the behind the scene. And then they get to see this room, the chaos that's going on around it. You can't see it, but that's like the fun part of it all. And it just humanizes everything too. Because yes, we're doing business, but once again, there's a person behind the business.
Yes. So bringing this back to the branding conversation. And so I think a lot of people believe, and I used to believe this too, that branding was a logo put somewhere, put on a video, put on a t-shirt or whatever, put on a baseball field. But that's just one way to brand, correct? How else can an agent brand themselves in this world of social media?
It should, I mean, well, someone who said it, that your brand is your reputation, is what people say when you walk out of that room. So that's how you have to treat it. Like when you're on social media, like what do you want your reputation to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you want people to perceive you? What do they want? What do you want them to say about you? So, you know, when I started realizing that people were paying attention to me, I'm like, all right, now I really have to kind of be aware of how people are going to perceive me.
Yes.
And so for me, it was really important to not do certain things. So, you know, I'm a very positive person and there can be negative stuff that happens, obviously. And I try to stay away from that because I also try to view it as, what do I like to see?
Mm-hmm.
And I love to see people that are making
That's
me
marketing
laugh.
101 right there. And very few people do it, Raquel. They don't ask themselves, what would I want to see?
Yeah. And that's essentially what I do is I'm like, I gravitate towards people that make me laugh, that don't take themselves seriously, that could care less if they're on camera with makeup or without any makeup on, with a baseball cap. They, you know, look at life in a positive way. And so I was like, that's exactly what I love to see. So I want to be the same. Like, and so that's essentially kind of how I guess mutated into Raquel Borras, the brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tell people all the time, like, who do you like emulate, who you like to watch or see, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with emulating people. It's flattering.
Completely agree. Everything that you put online is branding, whether it's good or bad, you know, you're branding somehow. So being conscious of that fact is key. Let's talk about how you dress or your appearance for a second, because there's so many people out there that, like, if you're going to be wealthy or successful, you need to wear a suit. Like, you may be plenty successful wearing a t-shirt and jeans, but if you wore a suit, you'd be so much more successful. I think maybe for some, but like as a blanket statement, it's absurd. If I wore a suit, I would feel so uncomfortable and unnatural that people would feel that. Like, I wear a black hat, that's now become kind of my thing, partly because I'm just lazy and I just have black hats. So we'll just wear a black hat now. And I wear jeans. Try to wear nice shoes and, you know, a t-shirt. So that's me. And I like the way I feel and I can perform at a high level, I think. Do you feel like, what's your take on that conversation that you must dress up? Guys must wear a suit or a tie. If you're going to be successful, if you want to reach that next level, you've got to do that. Is that accurate?
Well, I have to say with COVID, all of that's going out the window, I believe. Okay. Because everyone was at home. I would think, kind of ridiculous if you're in a suit doing like a conference call and everyone else is kind of like dressed down. And
right. I think so. Then you look weird.
Like, I think it would look a little bit odd. And not only that, like no one was doing conference, room meetings or whatever. So it's like, it just didn't make sense. So I feel like everyone's kind of like stripped down a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to take a huge shift because of this. But yeah, with the whole suit thing, it's, I like when my bosses come to work with like jeans. I had a boss who would come into work like never dressed up, and I loved it. And it just, everybody else loved it because they felt more like they were on his level, if you will. Because I think also what happens with the suit, it's almost like an intimidation factor for some people. I'm the type of person where like, hey, let's just all be comfortable and not try to like put on a persona just because you feel like you need to. I mean, I do conference calls with baseball hats and no makeup on. And I definitely like, I would go to work with a baseball cap and jeans and flip-flops. And I wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to be taken seriously because I'm not dressed a certain way. I mean, believe me, I do like suits for women though. Like when we go to conferences and everything, like I do like to get into nice dress and suit, but that's because
it's a nuanced conversation. It's a nuanced conversation. It depends on when and where you're dressing up and all of that. Like, I wouldn't be wearing shorts and flip-flops and a tank top while doing a keynote in front of a few thousand people.
Right. Well, it's like
I wouldn't
respect,
do that.
Right? Like there's that respect level there that obviously out of respect, you're not going to do that. But but having to like dress a certain way in order to be seen a certain way or be taken seriously like that, I don't believe in.
Now, there are a lot of agents out there and some title people for sure, some that I'm pretty close with, that they wear like the nicest suits possible all the time. And that's part of their brand. They love it. See, I don't. So I assume clothes are important for your brand, or they can be.
If that's you, like for instance,
if that's you.
My friend Ed Stulak, which a lot of the listeners probably know who he is. So, he loves to dress up in his suits. Like that's like he genuinely, like he loves it. Like he loves to go to the tailor, get all decked out. And so that's part of his brand.
Right.
And that's
he was one of those I was talking about.
Yeah. But it's him and I know him. We're friends. And so I'm not doing it to try to put on this certain persona. No, it's because that's what he loves. And it comes across genuine and sincere because of that. So for someone like him, it makes perfect sense. But you can definitely tell when there are people that are just doing it because they think they need to.
Yes. It's a nuanced conversation.
Yeah.
So don't feel like just because you are a real estate agent now that you have to talk about real estate all the damn time, or that you have to wear a nice shirt and a tie or a suit, for God's sakes.
Right.
My career really started to get good when I just embraced who I was. I just started dressing how I wanted to. It's not like I'm dressing like I'm going to the gym all the time, but I don't know, just
yeah, but you felt comfortable, and so when you feel comfortable, it's like you act differently too.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I think that's the problem too with like social media is a lot of people get in front of the camera and do videos, and that's what happens is they feel like everything has to be perfect or they have to sound a certain way, and so then it comes across ingenuous, and that's the problem. Yes. So that's why when I get in front of the camera, if I'm a goofball, I'm a goofball. It's me. Like one of the biggest compliments that I get is when people meet me in person or talk to me, they're like, "Oh, you're just like you are on your social media. And like you're the same you are with your videos. Like I feel like I know you." I'm like, "Yeah, that's because that's me. Like I'm not pretending to be somebody else." But that's
why they're connected in the first place. That's why you were able to make a connection, is because you weren't all polished and scripted, and you're yourself.
Right. And there are some people that are very polished and scripted, and that's their thing too. Like once again, and
that's how they are in real life.
And that's how they are in real life. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that at the end of the day, you just have to be who you are. And that's why I call, my business True to You branding, because as long as you're true to you, like it's all going to be okay.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
Like just be yourself, and you'd be surprised how many people will connect with you. And how many people will be able to resonate with what you have to say. It's just the initial doing it that's really difficult for a lot of people. And And
Yeah.
that's like where I kind of come in with my consulting. I'm almost like a therapist / cheerleader, because it's all psychological for people.
Oh, totally.
It's
Especially if they're trained and mentored a certain way by somebody who is different personality wise. My mentor, my first few years in real estate, was very different from me. He dressed up, told me I had to. If I'm ever going to sell a home, I have to dress up too. Hated it. I looked like one of those jackasses on their way to their court date. It just did not look right. But when you are yourself, and that comes down to the platforms that you decide to do content on, the way you do content. Is it video? Is it podcast? Is it written? Is it whatever? What you say, how you look, all of that. When you are authentic, you attract the right people. You're going to repel some.
Yeah.
You're going to repel some people, but those people aren't the right fit anyway.
Yeah, I think that's what people forget too. They forget, like, why do you care? It's like the people that don't like what you have to say or what you're doing, like, why do you feel like you have to please them? Why do you even want them in your circle or in your network?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make sense to me, like, anymore. It back in the day, like, I remember I used to be like, oh, everyone needs to like me. I was such a people pleaser. And now I'm like, why do I care about the people that don't really like what I say or what I wear or what I do? Like, why do I want to please those kind of people?
Do you feel like you progressed into that mindset you have now? Well, okay. How do I word this? When I was starting out in the business, I had such a lack mentality. I needed business. I needed to close deals. I'd work with anybody. I'd drive 2.5 hours to show a freaking house. But then as I went further on in the business, and I've been an agent for over 9 years now, I realized that I can pick who I want to work with. And guess what? You'll actually attract those clients. So, if you switch your mindset to one of abundance, and there's plenty of people out there, you can just pick the ones you want to work with and you're going to get along with and who will like you for you. How did that? Do you think that it came from like a scarcity mindset back then and you just kind of progressed to an abundant one, or was it just maturity? Was it?
I think experience? For me, it was maturity. And it's also integrity. Like because when I first started, I had a couple people that are also branding strategists, and their biggest piece of advice was, don't just take any client just to take a client, because you're going to get people that are going to be assholes, and then they're going to just want to use you for certain things, and make sure you align with those type of clients. So already from the start, I was like, I'm going to be picky, even though I'm just starting my own business and I can't really afford to be picky. But once again, I was like, it's my integrity's on the line too. So if I take on a client who's, not the best client, but I'm taking them on because of the money, that doesn't make me look good either. And it wouldn't make me feel good. Like, I love that every client that I've had, we've aligned with our values, with just the way they see things, the way that they want to work with me. They think outside of the box. So I've been really lucky. But once again, it's because they already felt like they knew who I was. So I was already attracting those type of clients, because when they come to me, they already know, like, this is who I'm going to work with.
Right.
And so that part, I've been really lucky where I haven't had to like fire any of my clients or anything.
Yeah.
But once again, because I'm attracting what I'm putting out there.
Absolutely. Well, I have had to fire one. And it was the best thing ever. But it was because I was ignoring the advice of my mentor, who said sometimes the best client is the one you don't work with. And I never quite understood that until I got one of those nightmare clients that we didn't align personality wise. They were very analytical, like an engineer would be, even though they were not an engineer, they were a dog breeder. But I am not that analytical at all. And we just clashed on a lot of stuff, and I kept working with them for a while because I'm like, I need this commission.
Yeah.
And when you, oh man, it's just such a bad place to come from. And then I realized, because I finally listened to my mentor, he's like, let them go to find someone who's going to be better for them. Like, exactly. You guys you're not the right fit. So let them empower them to find someone who is. Now
And that's
you can focus your
okay.
time. It's
And
more
it's
than
not
okay.
necessarily means that like you're a bad person or it just, some people just don't mesh.
Yes, it's more than okay. It's ideal. It's
Yeah.
optimal. Like, let somebody who's not the right fit for you work with somebody else. If you can refer them to somebody else and get a referral fee, if that's the right situation, fantastic. But if not, let them go. Now you've just freed up your time, and even more important than your time, your mental energy, to focus on those who do value you and want you and are aligned with you and are a good fit for you, and who will likely lead to a great long-term relationship afterwards. When you attract the right people, you have more fun, you enjoy business more, and you're probably going to get more referrals because they already know who you are through your content, and they're similar. So it's such an important shift that took me way too long to make. And I wish that that I could have I always have to learn things the hard way, or I have to learn them for myself.
Yes.
Someone can tell me what to do a million times, but I have to actually learn that they're right. And that's just me. So hopefully you guys listening are not that. And you can just say, I'm just going to start attracting the right clients from day one. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But,
and then your clients, like, make them into super fans, like, Brittany Hodak, who's amazing. And she does the circuit too about super fans. Same thing. Like, have them become your marketers too. Like, I think people don't realize like the power that client has with their social media as well. So if you have like the best client and you guys have this great relationship, like, believe me, your client will want to promote you and help you. So you'd be like, hey, would you mind like doing a little bit of a social media post about like working with me, or like, let's do a video together. Like, that's a whole nother thing too, that not a lot of real estate agents take advantage of. Like, you see the testimonials, the quotes, the reviews, but I mean, come on, like, how many people actually read those when they put their like, oh, my latest testimonial, or I love my clients, look at how, like, what they said about me. It's why not do something? Posts? Yeah. Like, why not go to your client and be like, hey, Dustin, would you mind if we did like a little fun video together? Or if we just took a fun picture and, you said something, or I don't know. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do that you'd be surprised that would be really cool and different, and we would stand out. Yes. And then people would start kind of like expecting that out of you. Like Casey, she was saying the boomerang. Like, I was doing a lot of boomerangs back in the day too. And it got to the point where I'd go to conferences and everyone's like making fun of me because I was making them do boomerangs. But then suddenly everyone's asking to do them with me, right? Because everyone like knew I was that. And so like with Casey, and then with her hats, like, it's you're starting this brand for yourself, and it can happen in a very organic way if you just start like having fun and just start posting and different. Like, like I wish I could. It's like,
I'm going to give you the biggest softball question ever. So for anyone who is not really focused on branding at all, or maybe they don't have any online presence, and they keep hearing branding, you've got to start building a brand.
They're like,
yeah. What are some of the first things that they should do if they're just getting into consciously branding themselves online? What should they be doing?
I would start studying other people. That's what I did. When I got on LinkedIn, like, I would just kind of scroll through my feed and I would take notes. Like, I literally would see what people were posting. I would see their engagement. I would be like, okay, people really like selfies, or they really like when someone talks about this. So then you start kind of taking notes, start following people that you admire, that you emulate, that are already on social media, start seeing what they're doing. Maybe take some tips from them, start engaging with their content too. I mean, it's going to be baby steps. So don't, everyone gets so overwhelmed. Yeah. Just start little by little, just going on whatever platform you are and just start seeing what people are doing, because it changes too. Like, I have to constantly kind of keep up with what the trends are and what people are doing. I mean, I myself am surrounded by a bunch of, social media branding experts, if you will. And I collaborate with a lot of them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talk and we give each other advice. So there's nothing wrong either with reaching out to that person. Maybe there's that real estate agent that maybe might be competition, I don't know, or maybe is in your state, or there's nothing wrong with reaching out to that person if they're already on social media and doing a lot, and be like, hey, any like advice, or maybe you can kind of help me out. Like, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to help.
Oh, absolutely. It just, it's something that frustrates me about those, and this is not just agents, this is not just our industry, but it's a human thing. It really frustrates me. And I think it frustrates me because I was this way for so many years, the majority of my life. When I see somebody who's stuck, they don't know what to do, they're confused, they're struggling in their business, but they never ask for help. They never ask, hey, how can I get through this? Or I'm really struggling getting listings. What can I do? Or, hey, I don't even know which questions to ask, but I'm not doing well right now. And asking someone that they look up to, it's really frustrating seeing those that just don't ask. I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know why that is. I didn't want to bug people. You know, I was like, and it came from an insecurity, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bug people, but I would let my life deteriorate and my career deteriorate because I didn't want to bug someone else theoretically.
Right. No,
I mean,
that's
if they don't respond, they don't respond. But, you know, at least freaking try to get help.
Yeah. And I think more and more people are realizing that it's important to ask for help. It's important to get advice. It's important to just be like, hey, I mean, I have actually quite a few young women that have reached out to me via LinkedIn and be like, hey, I'm kind of struggling with my social media and my branding. Like, can you just kind of, you know, kind of mentor me in a way or help me out a little bit? And I love that. And I don't look at them as like, oh, great, I'm going to help them blow up and then they're going to be my competition and there goes my, you know, brand. No, like, I don't see it in that way at all. If anything, people appreciate when they know that you're helping others as well. And so that's another thing too that I tell, you know, real estate agents all the time. Like, why aren't you helping promote your local businesses? Why aren't you guys teaming up with other people and, you know, help each other out, collaborate? Once again, ask for help. It's okay. It doesn't make you look weak either. You know what I mean? Like that you don't know what you're doing. I mean,
that's how you get people to respect you. You know, it's not cool or respectable if you just sit there while your career falls apart, waiting for stuff to fall into your lap. Like, nobody's going to respect that. They're going to respect if you're proactive.
Of course. Yeah. Everyone's going to be like, well, that's your fault because you didn't ask for help or you didn't try this or you didn't try that. You just kind of let it fall to pieces because of pride or whatever.
Yes.
You know? So yeah, I would start scrolling through and you know, whatever social media platform you want to be on and just see how it works too, because that's another thing too with COVID. I think we released a lot of wild animals onto social media that weren't really like understood it, and then they got on it and then they were just like had no clue, and so that's like a detriment too. When you get on there and you're just like, whoa, who is this person? What are they saying? What are they doing? So yeah, do a little research.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, I'm in the camp that it's better to put something out than nothing, because especially if you're doing video, you've got to learn. If you're nervous to do video, the best thing you could do is do a video.
Yeah. Or grab someone to do it with you, or do a Zoom call, like record a Zoom. I've done that before with people that haven't done video. I'm like, well, let's record our call and then I'll let you have it and then you can post it, or I'll post a snippet of it. And then if they feel more comfortable because it's not just them. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've gotten to this point where you went out on your own, you started your own company, True to You Branding.
Yes.
And so reading between the lines, you're kind of like, I can't believe this happened. It was just you putting out content and being yourself on LinkedIn and some of the other socials. What were you talking about? I know you were just being yourself and letting people get to know you, which is the magic of video on social. That's where the connection's made. And honestly, I feel like whenever you make mistakes, if you lose your train of thought, if you screw up, if you get tongue-tied, that's the best thing that could happen, because people relate
just
to
even
it.
Here on this freaking call, like I was tongue-tied, you know, like in the beginning, the same thing where I still kind of, I have so much in my head.
Yeah.
Comes out all wrong.
Yeah, but that's what makes you likable, and people can relate to that. If you're the evening news anchor that everything sounds scripted and polished, and you know your voice inflection's perfect, it's very hard to. Sure, you may like that person, but it's hard to really relate to them. So, Wow.
So
I
my
completely
content, like,
got
so
off on
what I
another
would-
tangent
no,
here.
no, no. So basically, I always try to talk about something that happened to me that is going to, I don't know, give some insight. I mean, for instance, this is like pretty much kind of what propelled my brand on LinkedIn. Like I saw a big shift actually with my engagement was I did 31 days of no alcohol, yoga every single day, and clean eating. And I didn't plan on recording a video every day of it, but I recorded the first one, or I think right before I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And I did it because I wanted people to hold me accountable, right? I'm like, if I tell thousands of people this is what I'm doing, I'm super competitive. I'm like, then I got to do it. And so then the first day I did it and I documented it. And then the second day I documented it. And then everyone started being like, oh, are you doing day 3? So I did all 31 days. But what happened is that everyone's like, you had something to say every single day. It's because what happened is I learned something about myself in the process. Because when you don't drink alcohol for 31 days straight and you're doing yoga, like a lot of clarity comes into place. There was a lot of stuff that I learned about myself. And so that's what I talked about. Because if you think about it too, successful people, they also have to grow. And there's that personal growth element there. And it's learning about yourself and the self-awareness. And that's just as important in your business as anything else. So by me talking about that and being vulnerable and super transparent about, like, I had one day where I was like, I didn't realize how much I used alcohol just kind of numb my feelings, because I actually had to like sit through my feelings. So then I was talking about how I learned to sit with them, acknowledge them, let them I mean, so many different things where people are like, wow, like that's really great stuff. And that's something that I struggle with. Or so that right there just proved to me how important people, like, it was to be vulnerable and really just talk about all aspects of your life, because at the end of the day, like, that's going to help, like, everything.
Yes. That's what makes you a person.
Right?
That people.
Yeah. I mean, your mental health, your all of that stuff. And that's why I talk about mental health awareness all the time as well, because that's just as important in the corporate world and in the business world, because of the stress and the anxiety and the pressure and all of that. So yeah, it just got to the point where I was talking about things that people could relate to, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wow. And what do you know? People connect with you. Like-minded people connect with you.
Yeah. And remember, there's like 7-8 billion people in this world. Like, you're
right.
going to have people that connect with you.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
You just have to do it consistently, and you have. And okay, so final question here for those who have been, they've been putting out a bunch of content. They've been themselves, but they're like, how can I really start to do a better, more intentional job of branding? What if you've just been putting out articles and videos and all this stuff, but it feels or not incoherent, but not consistent,
right?
Or not.
We're just kind of all over the place, I guess. Or
yeah, just kind of all over the place. What can someone do to really consciously start to improve their branding with the content they do?
That's a really good question, because I still struggle with that, to be honest, because I still feel that people think I'm all over the place, because I do kind of talk a lot about different things.
Sure.
So I think that's something that I'm still trying to figure out. So I wouldn't really have like an answer for anybody else, because a lot of it is trial and error.
Yes.
A lot of it is figuring out what's taking, what isn't going to take. And I would just focus on like what you're really good at. Like, if you're a really good writer, like, focus on writing articles or writing blogs. If you're more of a creative type, like, maybe focus on being a little bit more on the creative side. Or if you're funny, like, focus on being funny, like, make people laugh.
Right.
I don't know, just pick something that you enjoy about yourself, or you like about yourself, or is a strength, and maybe kind of hone it in there. Yeah. I don't know if that made sense at all, but
no, it does make sense. And so I think you're saying, guys, you don't need to be so conscious of branding that it makes you unnatural. Like, just do stuff.
Yeah.
And think about, is this natural to me? If it's natural to you, then it's on brand, right?
Yes. And naturally that's how people are going to see you. Like they're going to see what you enjoy doing and what you don't. Like if they see that something that you're doing is forced, they're going to be like, ugh. But if you're doing something in a natural way that's you, that's where people are going to connect. And I think that's where your brand's going to start kind of evolving from there. I mean, I look at a brand as like, you know, like a flower, a seed, like you're planting a seed and you're watering it a little bit. And then suddenly like one day it like blossoms into this thing and you're like, wow, like that's my brand.
Exactly. No,
You know, like it blossomed into this really cool orchid or whatever sunflower, you know? And I feel like that's kind of like with me, that's why I also have a butterfly emoji on my LinkedIn next to it, because I feel like I was like this like caterpillar for so long and in this cocoon, and I'm finally like this butterfly that I'm like out there, and I feel like I've metamorphosized into like who I actually am. Like this is me. Like I don't feel like, obviously I'll grow and I'm going to learn about myself, but I feel like at the core, like I've learned who I am. And that's like what helps my brand, if you will. So I know who I am.
absolutely.
So know who you are. And then
when you know who you are and then you let people see it through the different platforms and different tools available, that is how you grow a brand and attract clients and do more business. That's how it worked for me.
Have it be
That's how it works for
natural.
everybody.
Trust the process. Like really trust the process. Understand it is a process. It's a journey. Like that's what I tell people too. Like just even understanding where you're going with your brand. It's all a journey.
Absolutely. Let's. I think that's the perfect segue to wrap things up with our rapid fire questions, letting us get to know you even more. So with these, just pick either or. You don't need to elaborate unless you want to.
Okay.
And then at the end, I'll ask you a couple open-ended questions.
Okay.
Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Instagram or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Books or podcasts?
Books.
Books or audiobooks?
Now audiobooks.
Okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Good call. Alexa or Google Home?
Neither.
Why?
I don't use those things. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Alexa, just because I guess everyone knows Alexa.
No, it's funny. Like a year ago, I was gung ho Alexa flash briefings. Like
I don't even use Siri.
Okay, now that's weird. You don't use.
I don't use Siri either.
Yeah, whatever works for you. Whatever works. Burgers or pizza?
Now pizza, because I don't eat meat anymore.
Okay.
Otherwise, In-N-Out burgers.
Oh yes, love me some
double
In-N-Out.
animal style.
Yep, little double animal style.
Yes.
New York or LA?
LA. Sorry.
NFL or NBA?
Oh, NFL all the freaking way.
College or pro football?
Pro football.
Okay. Who's your team?
The Chargers.
The traveling Chargers. San Diego,
Yeah,
LA.
I know. And now without Rivers. Wah.
I honestly don't follow it all that much anymore. I played college football briefly at a little D2 school, nothing crazy, but big sports fan. I don't know. I just kind of gravitated away from consuming it so much.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird.
It.
Yeah, no, I love it too. It's weird. Mountains or beach?
Beach for sure.
Podcasting or vlogging?
Podcasting. I'm not the best writer. Or no, that's a vlogging. No, not blogging.
Yeah,
blog. Okay, then vlogging. Yes.
Vlogging?
Sorry, I forget that like has shifted to vlogging.
Come on, we
now.
got blog and vlog. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
How can you screw that up, Raquel? Blog and vlog. Come on. There's so many ridiculous names coming out. YouTube or Facebook Live?
YouTube, even though I don't do either.
Okay, fair enough. Uber or Lyft?
Uber, but I just downloaded Lyft.
I
went to school with the founder of Uber who got kicked out. Was
Travis?
Travis, yeah, he was a
Did you
Theta.
really?
He was a Theta Xi, I think, at UCLA. Yeah, I remember him.
Really? That's
yeah.
crazy.
I didn't know that until after the fact. They're like, dude, Travis was a Theta Xi at UCLA or whatever, and I was like, they're like, remember he was the one that. I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's funny. So I'm sure there's some stories there. It sounds like.
Yes.
Gary V or Grant Cardone?
Gary V.
And the most impactful book you've ever read?
Ooh, The most impactful. That's a good question. Can I just say my favorite book?
Yeah.
Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Really?
That's
Okay.
my all-time favorite book. Yeah.
And have you read it
yeah.
recently?
I read it, I want to say maybe like 10 years ago again. Maybe I
Really?
should go
Okay.
pull it up again.
So
Yeah.
as an adult, you've read the book?
Yes.
Okay.
And love the
Interesting.
movies. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, I have that side of me, that little fantasy side.
Well, impactful means whatever you want it to mean. I mean,
Yeah.
it means something different to every one of us. That's interesting.
Yes.
And then what's an app recommendation? Any new apps that you're messing around with or that you're obsessed with?
Well,
or old apps?
I'm not a big app person either, to be honest, but I mean, should we plug Social Coach coming up?
We could, but that would be spilling the beans, Raquel.
No, I know. But anyways,
yes.
yeah, you know what? I like editing apps just because, once again, like the creative piece of it. So I guess the editing apps that I use, InShot, Beauty Plus, I like to play with those. But I don't do like games. I'm not like a gamer either. So,
Neither am I. I think the last game I played was Candy Crush.
Oh God.
Yeah, and even then that was not too often, but addictive for sure.
Yes.
Like I see how people get sucked into the.
Yeah, but I just, that's just not my thing either. So
there's too much stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's too much work to be done. For sure. Awesome. Raquel, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and coming on the show today.
Sense.
Totally. I mean, look, sometimes everybody listening gets something different out of an episode at different times in different ways. Sometimes it could be something we just randomly said off the cuff that somebody needed to hear. Yeah. So I think our conversation, it was real. And so those that need to find the value from it will. So I enjoyed it.
Okay, good. Because that's like my own thing I get in my head where after I do a podcast or an interview or a webinar, I'm always like, I really hope I said something of value in that, because I tend to just am all over the place. That's just who I am as a person. That's, I think, why my brand's all over the place sometimes. So I get worried, and then I get, like all kind of like, oh man, Raquel, like you need to be better and be a little bit more eloquent when you speak, and
oh brother,
all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
See, you need to change everything about yourself. Yeah. I always love that advice from dipshits. You need to start doing something completely different than
yeah. So I guess I'll just continue being a hot mess and a train wreck, but it's all good.
Yeah. And being wildly successful doing it. Strange.
Yes.
It's weird how that works.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Raquel, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Talk soon.
All right.
Guys, branding is so important. Branding is what leads to lead generation. If you don't have any kind of brand, AKA reputation, then sure, you can get some leads, you can convert a few of them, but you're not going to convert a large majority of them. You're not going to convert nearly as many as you could have if people already knew who you were, if they'd seen you before. Branding is so key. It just takes longer to pay off. I promise you, branding is worth doing. Branding is absolutely going to give you a return on your investment as long as you're doing the right things. Of course, you don't just throw money at the yellow pages or something like that. Don't just throw money at billboards just because you've seen billboards. You want to be a little bit methodical and conscious of the way you spend your money. But for the most part, if you just get people to see you and they see you in a bunch of different places, that is going to lead to success. It just doesn't manifest as quickly as you may like it to, but that's why you've got to stay patient, which it's interesting to hear myself say that. I'm one of the most impatient people out there, but I am growing into more of a patient business person because I've seen the effects of consistent work over time. It compounds, the success compounds, and once you've experienced, wow, maybe there actually is value in patience, it's easier to be patient. So there you go, guys. Take action on something you learned today, please. And please share this podcast with somebody, with a friend, with a Facebook group. Post it on your story, post it on Facebook, post it on LinkedIn. Take a screenshot and just say, I love this episode. This was great, blah, blah, blah. And share it. That helps us out tremendously. And lastly, for all of you guys, I get a few questions a week where people are asking, what kind of CRM should I get? I'm going to do a podcast. So what hosting platform should I use? Or what microphone should I use? Or, what kind of website should I get? All that stuff. If you are ever wanting to know what I recommend and you want some discounts on that stuff, just go to the resources page on the website, massiveagentpodcast.com. It's massiveagentpodcast.com/resources. And I'm going to be updating that soon with a bunch more stuff. So if you're hearing this, whenever you're hearing this, I should have added some new stuff by then. And the more I come in contact with products, services, platforms, tools that I really enjoy, I'm going to add them to the resources page so that you guys can take advantage. And I will negotiate as many discounts with those vendors as I possibly can. That's the nice thing about having a podcast audience is I can say, hey, I have X number of listeners. What kind of discount could you offer them if I put this on the website? And so by you sharing and helping us to grow the audience, you're helping yourself get some discounts on stuff you're going to use anyways, like real estate websites, CRMs, stuff on my Amazon store, all that stuff. So go to the resources page on massiveagentpodcast.com and check it out. And we'll be back next week. Guys, go sell some homes, go close some loans, have a great freaking 4th of July / Independence Day weekend. It kind of bugs me that people say 4th of July instead of Independence Day, but you guys know what I mean. Let's celebrate the independence of this great nation this weekend. Be safe. Don't blow your freaking thumb off with an M80 or making those little M80s out of the ground bloom flowers. Put the pennies on the ends with the duct tape. You know what I'm talking about. You guys that know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Because I used to do that shit all the time back in the day, blowing up flashlights and stuff, and I'm surprised I still have all my fingers. So don't go do the same. Take care, guys.